I'd like to ask you a question. Would you like to live a life full of purpose? A life that brings you a great deal of passion? A life worth living? Would you like to improve the quality of your life and the clarity of your thoughts and to feel like you understand your life's purpose? Well, I'm creating this video to possibly help you on your journey. And I can tell you a little bit about my journey and some thoughts that I've come across that may aid you in your journey and your process, and really to live the life that you want to live. For so many people in the modern age, in the modern time, that life I'm describing is equated with material things. It's equated with having things, having success in the financial world. And many people equate success and happiness with wealth in the physical world in terms of money. And I'm obviously not one of those people that think that the cure to sadness or depression is money. And I think that there's something much deeper and much more important that will add quality, clarity, purpose, and passion to your life. The more that you come to certain recognitions and realizations. The thing about realizations, it's funny that realization starts with the word real, is that it's only real for the person doing the realizing. Real eyes, right? If you use your real eyes from the inside, sometimes you see things and understand things in a way that you didn't before. And that's a really important thing, because before I came to certain realizations, those things were foreign to me and I wouldn't have understood them until that point when the realization hit. For me, one of those big ones in life happened when I was about 13 years old. I was exposed to a book by my father. He was a preacher in the Christian faith, and he showed me this book by a guy named Brother Lawrence, and it was called Practicing the Presence. Let's see the exact title: Practicing the Practice of the Presence of God. Now, for those of you out there that are non-religious or even question the existence of God, I understand this. There are a lot of aspects of religion, many religions, that throw things into confusion by different varying storylines. But what I'd like to point to is not so much the religious aspect or the dogmatic aspect of these things, but the core truths that exist in all philosophy and all religions, all of nature, and all of people, and all of everything. There exists a certain commonality. Now, the book I'm describing, Brother Lawrence, he was in a war. He found himself in a bleak, open area, and there was just one tree standing out in the middle of this empty area, and it was had no leaves on it. And as he gazed at this tree, he had a realization. He came to this experience, right? What lasted the rest of his life, the way he describes in the book. And the realization or the experience was just that this tree, even though it looked bleak and it didn't have any leaves, it had the promise of bringing new life and sprouting buds and leaves and going back to its fullness. And to him, deep down, this symbolized that God would always bring new life. And, even if you're a person that doesn't like to think of the term God, I would challenge you to consider the sun. Every day we wake up and the sun comes out. Even if it's cloudy, even if it's raining, we know that the sun will come out again. And another thing that occurs to me is the ground. This is very common thing that we take for granted, but it's always there. Even if you're on a plane, it's just a matter of time till you get back to the ground. You're never going to stay away from it forever. There are commonalities in this existence that we live in that we can ponder on and make realizations about that will greatly aid our process, as I described in the beginning, of understanding our purpose. Why are we here? What is the point of it all? Especially for those who go through high levels of suffering, sadness, and depression, it can really make one question, like, why do I have to go through all this, right? Why does it have to be so difficult? Why is there so much struggle? And so the gift I would like to share with you is right behind me on the wall, the tree of life. But I wanted to talk about it today more in terms of the biblical story of the tree of good and evil. In the book I was describing, Brother Lawrence, he describes practicing the presence. And when I was 13 years old, I was really struck by this. And I used to sort of imagine, if you will, that I was having this ongoing conversation at all times with God, the great all, the creator, inside of my head. The native people might call it Mother Earth, or the great mother, the great provider, right? The great intelligence, if you were in the Freemason tradition, the great architect, right? I was imagining myself sort of having this ongoing communication that Brother Lawrence was describing. And I'd have these amazing recognitions and realizations. And part of the trick of this is, we all know that we have imagination, and we all know there's been plenty of crazy, mad people in the world in different times who have led people astray, said that they have the word of God, and then it turns out that they lead people into some terrible things. So there has to always be this question: is this voice or this thoughts I'm having in my head just my imagination, or am I really communicating with the great all? And my recognition when I was 13 was that if I were silent and if I were honest, 100% honest with myself, and I would just wait, as I was having these thought processes, part of me deep down would know the right answer. And it would take a little bit of humility and a little bit of patience to get past some of that monkey mind, wild ideas, and my own personal thoughts on the thing. But if I were to wait, and I figured out eventually for me that I have like a period of 1 to 3 days. If I have a question on my mind and something I'm pondering, just let it sit there for a full day, up to 3 days. And within that time, I would notice out in the world, or sometimes even on a TV show or a book or something someone would say, there would be some sort of synchronicity. And inside that synchronicity, I would find a realization, a recognition of some wonderful truth. And I've come to recognize that in life, there are always answers, and they're not always the ones we want to hear. And if we let our mind be clouded by what we want, it's almost like putting a filter on your camera and seeing the world through a filter. That's what we want to see. And it's a difficult process to learn to remove that filter. And the patience is the tool that I find works best to do that. But I wanted to encourage you to practice this idea of practicing the presence and asking questions to deep within. There's something that I like to call our divine crystal. And this is our connection to the great all. The tree represents our ability to discern the difference between right and wrong. And I think that the heart of the story of, Adam and Eve eating from this tree of life and discovering this ability to understand the difference between right and wrong is symbolic to help us understand that this is the key aspect of all life. Apple's a symbol, much like a tree, that has, the roots coming from the ground and the branches coming from the top. It's the same symmetrically. Like if you were to cut an apple in half in either direction, you get the same symmetrical shape. And I think of this toroidal shape of the universe and all of reality constantly flowing up and down the core of the apple and then out around the apple and creating this vibration that's the reality we live in. And if you imagine that all of reality in this creation is the great all, and it's just pumping with electrical energy waves and vibrations, and here we are, one little slice, one little plane of reality where we're experiencing what is all interconnected and all woven together. There's really no separation. But because we're living this linear lifestyle, it's a special opportunity to kind of feel a certain separateness. I described this in some of my other videos about the whole in the universe and everything and nothing, and sort of a weird paradox conundrum that we run into, of feeling separate from the all, but we are the all. So if you're feeling challenged in life and you're facing adversity, facing difficulties, that's great. That is your opportunity to find a quiet space and to look within. Not because I'm saying so, but because you have the ability to do so. And the more humans that work on this and experience this process of realization and recognition of the great all, the more that we as humans can move away from some of the evils that are currently being experienced on this planet and more towards the good that we want for our future of all. And the hardest aspect of this is to recognize, even though I am super important in my own experience, the great all, everything, the interconnectedness is sort of like the bigger all-encompassing reality that we're in. And it's alive. It's alive and it's watching you just like you're watching it. And so to find my purpose and the next thing to do in life or get past the next obstacle, the answers will always be within. And I encourage you to seek that clarity. And it's something that has brought me so much joy in life and passion. And I feel like I do have a great understanding of my purpose. Don't always feel like I've got enough money in my bank account, but that's not really what drives happiness, is it? Well, folks, if anyone wants to discuss this more with me, I make myself available for certain consultation meetings. The first consultation meeting is free. You can go to chrisjantzen.com. That's JANTZEN, chrisjantzen.com, and book an appointment with me. And perhaps I can help listen to you and let you gain your own clarity through telling me your story and describing what's holding you up. Or find someone you trust, a good friend, and speak your mind with that person. Ask them to listen, and it's amazing what you will find. This can also be done in journaling, and it can be done walking alone in nature or doing a myriad of things. The important part is the intention and recognizing that this tree of life, this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, is the defining characteristic of reality. And it's what holds reality together, is that it's all interconnected, and it's all about what we do with our choices and how we interact with the great intelligence, the great living being of all that we are connected to and cannot be truly ever disconnected from. All right, folks, I hope that brought you some inspiration, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Much love. High five.